In this lesson, let's take a look at another practical example of implementing a countdown top bar for your Shopify store. This will add a sense of urgency for your holiday sales and more. So let's get started. First, open up Cursor and make sure that you have running in your terminal Shopify theme dev. And I already have my localhost preview here, as well as the customizer preview. So let's come back to Cursor and press Command Shift I for Composer. And I've already prepared a prompt here. So we want a countdown top bar we'll have the text on the left for holiday sale, save up to X%. A countdown timer in the center with the text to the left that says sale ends. And on the right of the top bar, an option for a CTA button. The timer will have days, minutes, and seconds, which will appear at the bottom of each number in the countdown. And the text should be small, like 12 pixel uppercase. And for the countdown date and time, I'll be entering an EST. And this is an important point because browsers by default use UTC. So we tell it, please do any conversions as necessary for UTC, and then simply titling it as countdown top bar for the section. So it'll go through, do its thing. First starting with the markup, then some of the style sheet, and lastly, it'll do the schema. All right, this is almost done. Accept, save all, come back to Firefox, and let's just refresh on the customizer. Add a section. Okay, so that's not showing up yet. I do not see this new section available in the Shopify customizer. Can you go back through and fix? All right, so it found it was issue with the date time in the schema. Accept, save all. Let's refresh again. Great, now we have countdown top bar, and we see some initial errors there, but let's just put that at the top, hide this, and let's just go in here, and let's just go back to the main store, and I'll screenshot this first and tell it, let's just drag in the screenshot. Great, now I see the top bar setting. I've added it to my site, but I don't see the time showing correctly. Can you please fix? All right, accept, save all. Let's come back to the customizer. All right, so now it works. Refresh it on the site. And let's just go through and test to make sure that these settings work. So I'll just do holiday sale. Let's just do 50% off. Let's just try the background color. Perfect. Text color. That's great. And we even have a toggle here for the CTA button. So when it's turned off, the timer moves to the right, which is good. Let's just do shop all. Update the link. Also, let's just make sure that the button works. Yep, that's great. And for the background, that's also working. So let's hit save, come back to our store, and let's just also test to make sure that it works on the other pages, which is good. For this one, I'll actually just change the background color to like a nice kind of holiday green, hit save. And this is where we can start to dial this in a little bit more. So for example, I want to be able to control this a little bit more and then, make this look a little bit better here for the countdown. So I'll screenshot this and we'll come back to cursor and I'll drag that in. This is looking great. Let's make some updates. Can you add some options for me to customize the text on the left? So I want to be able to control the text size, the font weight, and whether it's uppercase or lowercase. Number 2. For the countdown timer in the center, can you please add a background around the numbers for days, hours, minutes, and seconds? And please make sure to use minimal padding for all around the background. Well, that should have been the number, but let's see what AI comes up with. And you don't have to worry about knowing that it's padding. If you want to just tell it naturally, like you want to have minimal space, or when it does it the first time, you can just tell it, I want to have a background around it. And when you see it, you can screenshot it and tell it to make further adjustments. So we can see it added the font size, weight, and text transform, and it added the background to the numbers. So hit save, come back, refresh, which is great. Now it added that background. Let's see if it added an option to control that color too. All right, so yeah, now we have the background color there. Okay, so we don't have a color control for the background in the countdown timer. Let's just do that. Great, now let's do some more updates. For the countdown timer numbers, we recently added a background. Can you please update it so by default it's a white with a lower opacity, but also give us the option to control that color in Shopify Customize. Let's see if there's anything else we want to tell it. Let's just test that text size. So yeah, that works good. Let's actually just do 20, medium, and then uppercase. That looks good. And let's just have it work on the background color for the numbers. All right. Save, accept. And let's just refresh. Okay, great. Now you can see like a nice little background there. And then did it give us the option to control that? So we see background color, button text color. So it added an opacity and the option to choose the background. So depending on your store color scheme, you can go like dark, and then you can then choose the opacity of how dark you want that to be. So let's hit save. Let's actually make this holiday text just a little bit bigger. Add back that semi-bold and uppercase. Let's hit refresh. And you can see this is already looking great here. Let's just take a look at mobile. So right click on the page and go to inspect. Then click on this icon in the top right here for the phone. And we can see this looks decent, but we can make this a little bit better to better use this space here. So we can screenshot this and then come to Composer and then just drag this in. Okay, this is looking great. Now I want to make specific updates for just mobile. So do not adjust the formatting for desktop. If you need to do separate settings or sections for mobile, and then I'll tell it for mobile only, please move the Shop Now or Shop All CTA button to the right of the text that appears at the top. All right, that'll go through and do its thing. Sometimes we find like if you don't tell it explicitly to work on mobile and to not touch desktop, that it'll apply those settings too. So sometimes you can give it that additional context. This is almost done here. Accept all, save, come back, refresh. All right, so the button disappeared and it did touch desktop, but let's just do a screenshot and say it does not appear at work. The button is no longer appearing on mobile, and on desktop, the button is appearing broken. You can see that in the screenshot. Please fix. All right, this is almost done here. Accept, save all. All right, so you can see sometimes it'll be a little bit back and forth, but let's just double check. So now there's stuff missing, so I can tell it that did not work. Now the text does not show at all for the countdown bar, and on mobile, it still is not correctly showing. Let's see. I think on mobile, it wasn't even showing the button at all. Yeah. And on mobile, both the top bar text and the button is missing. So sometimes you can see this is a good example of where you just need to keep prompting it. Sometimes it'll work in one go. Sometimes it'll do it perfectly. On other times, you'll just need to go a little bit back and forth. And let's see what it'll do this time. Accept, save all, go back, and let's refresh. All right, so it got us back to a baseline, but let's just try one more time just to see if it's able to move that CTA to the right of the text. Okay, everything is showing again, but I still want to specifically work on the mobile view. For mobile only, please move the CTA button to the right of the top bar text. Remember, do not adjust any positioning on desktop. So let's see what it does this time. Accept, save all, come back. Great, now it worked, and you can see sometimes it just takes a little bit of prompting there. And now we have successfully created a top bar, countdown top bar. We have a bunch of different settings here for the text, the formatting, the countdown timer itself, and an optional CTA. And from here, you can continue to add additional features. Say you wanted to add an icon, you wanted to add a background, you want to tune this further. You can just keep chatting with AI to add those features to your customizer, and you can do it all without code. So you can really see the power of Cursor Composer here. And in the next video, we'll show you another practical example.